Welcome back to Living with a Classic, and as you know, I sometimes work on customer cars. It happens more often now than before, and I'm really happy about that. So far, it's just been people contacting me with usually V12 Jaguars and need some help. Right now, I have a Daimler 66 here, a really late one. It's a 91 or a 92, very late one, very similar to the black one I did something to last year. Done a couple things so far, some service items and some other things, and I want to show you guys that this car has a coolant leak that was a little bit difficult to find, but I have found it. It actually has two coolant leaks, and I'm about to sort them out, but I thought I'd show you guys how I troubleshot that and how I was able to find the leaks, because one of them was a little bit difficult to find because it wouldn't leak when the car was warm and running. It was only leaking when the car was cold and sitting, cooling down. But I'll have a look, show you guys around the car. We'll show you how I did the troubleshooting, and then I'll show you what I'm doing to the car right now, which does involve removing pretty much the whole interior. And here is the car. It's a very beautiful Series 3, very late Daimler 66. I believe it's a 91 or 92. It's one of those really, really late ones. Fully loaded with everything. Really, really nice car. In dark gray, I believe it's gunmetal, and it has a light interior. And as you can see, I've already removed quite a bit because this car does have a leaking heater core. And there are a couple telltale signs of how I noticed that. One of them was, of course, losing coolant, so I got to figure out where. Second one was that there was a lot of condensation on the inside of the window, and the customer complained about that. They always have to have like a tea towel or something and wipe down the inside to be able to see something. And then I test drove the car, and even with it on full defrost, the heating system, everything works as it should, you would not get rid of the condensation. So the more I had the defrost, the more condensation I got here, and there was a slight sweet smell of coolant. So that was definitely leaking. And I'll grab a flashlight here to show you guys that I removed just one of the panels here on the side first. The one that's just held in with two screws, and I'm not sure if you can see this on camera. It's very, very hard. I tried to photograph as well for the customer, but everything is, I don't know if you can see that on my finger. It's really hard to see, but everything is covered in just a little bit of coolant. There wasn't a big enough leak for it to be in the carpet, so we pulled the carpet. Everything is nice and dry under there. But just everything is a little sticky, a little, sweet like coolant on everything over here. So we'll have to dry that out when I get everything out and wipe everything down, and it should be good. It's a good thing that we caught this before we had a major leak, because that would just be a lot worse. But this is something that I'm going to do off camera. It's not a tricky job. I've done it before on my own cars, but it's a lot of things to remove, and I'm trying to do, of course, as quickly as possible for the customer so they can have their car back. But like I said, there was another leak, and that leak is in the engine bay, and I'm going to show you guys how I found it. But when I was under the car doing other service work, I got a drip of coolant on me, and I couldn't really tell from where, because also looking underneath, the two drains for the heater matrix, which are the AC drains, they both looked wet, and the AC is not working on this car. Also something we're going to do, we're going to replace the AC parts in there as well, so that's why everything's coming apart also. However, that was definitely having coolant. So that was also another hint that, that the heater matrix is leaking. But I also felt like I got some coolant spray on me, more over here, but underneath. So what I did was I put on a pressure tester on the car, pumped up the pressure, and I immediately found where it was. So we'll do that now, and I'll show you what I found, and I'll show you why it was a little bit of a difficult leak to find, because this thing does not leak when it's up to temperature. I went and got my coolant pressure tester. I showed you guys this before. It's just a universal one that has a bunch of different fittings. One of the caps, is a normal pressure cap, fits on here. So we'll just hook that up, and then you pump up a pressure. You should not exceed the pressure on the cap here, which is 16 pounds. So I'm going to pump it up to something like 10 is enough. So see if I can do this one-handed. And I'm not sure if you can hear that, but we can already hear a leak somewhere. And that's what I heard right away. So I was walking around the car, because I knew it would be over here somewhere. And I grabbed a flashlight. And look right down there. You see how it's dripping here? So there are two gaskets under here, and there is no ring over here. So it's that gasket that's leaking. And that's why it was really, really hard to find this issue, because this gets really hot. So the tiny, tiny leaks that appear will just steam away. You will hardly even tell them. And when the car got up to operating temperature, this all sort of closed up and it didn't leak anymore. So I've ordered the gaskets, or actually I have the gaskets here. I can actually show you what they look like. Here they are. So those are two gaskets in there. And then I got the O-ring that goes there, or the grommet, and the one that goes on that side as well. I'm going to leave that side on and just do that. And that should fix that leak. So you see, it is dripping pretty good now. So that is the coolant loss that the owner was complaining about. So that's why one of these pressure testers is such a good thing, because when I saw the car the first time, he had driven to my house, about an hour or so. Everything was fully warmed up. So any little coolant that was there when it leaked when it was cold had burned off, and you couldn't smell anything, and I couldn't see any leaks. So that's really why sometimes it's good to be able to leave the car with me, and I can troubleshoot these things. And you see we're getting coolant dropping down here, and it goes on the chassis rail there. That's why it was running back, and that's why it hit me in the face when I was underneath the car. So we're going to unhook that, depressurize it, because there's no need to have any more coolant go on the ground. There we go. Can remove that. Otherwise, I will be doing some other things as well. Since I'm doing such big jobs, I always like to make things a little bit better. So I did notice one thing. This thing is on upside down. It's a heat cover. It should be the other way around. So I'm going to swap that over. I'm just going to clean up some of the dirt and debris over here. Just a rag and some WD-40. And just make it look a little bit nicer. That's not something I charge a customer for or anything. It's just something I want to do to make it nicer. And he does say his cruise control works, so I don't want it to get cooked in there with this thing on. So I'm just going to swap that over and do a couple of other things. And that was it for today's video. Just a little bit short thing, but you guys said that you'd like to see some customer work as well. Like I said, I'm not filming taking the whole dashing thing out. It's quite tedious. And it's not that difficult. It's just a lot of hours, and I will be doing pretty much exactly the same thing in the XJS a little bit later. So I don't want to do two exactly the same films, but if I find something really interesting in there, I may put up a short little thing on Instagram, or do a short little video like this if I end up finding anything really weird once the dash is out of the car. Otherwise, oh yeah, one thing I sort of forgot to mention is the car actually had a leaking radiator cap as well at first, or the pressure cap in the middle. And so I replaced that with a new one. And maybe if I just were to send the car on the way there without pressure testing the rest of the system, something bad could happen, because, customer complains of a coolant loss, radiator cap is leaking, you replace the radiator cap, and you think it's fine. But here it was actually 2 other leaks, so 3 leaks in total. And I think it's a really good thing that we fixed them now, especially before summer coming up. And that's the one thing you don't want. You don't want a V12 to overheat. So if you have a V12 that is losing coolant, look into it. They should not lose coolant. It should stay at a constant level. And then these things actually should not overheat either if everything is set up correctly. Anyways, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, hit a thumbs up, share it with your friends. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. Until next time, I'm Adam. This was Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.